Go on, tell me. What do you want to know? All that you can tell me. I don't really care. Today, we're talking about how to have fun conversations. And the research from Boland is all saying that those little monumental, momentary Zoom delays in the verbal and the visual are killing the Zoom conversations. If you've been online in the pandemic, you know exactly what I'm talking about. But what about real life? Show genuine interest. Ask genuinely open-ended questions. Now, what is an open-ended question? How? Basically, the how, what, when, where, and those type of questions are allowing you to be open-ended. Whereas a question that's closed would be, are you happy? Yes or no. So I don't have to say much more. Like, I'm at a bus stop, you can't really talk to somebody who's at a bus stop if they just say yes and no. And that's it. It's just gone. So make sure that the listener is engaged and starts vividly looking at their imagination by these open-ended questions so they can pick a range of things. Maybe they want to be spoken to at the bus stop. Maybe they're open. But if you show genuine curiosity about their interests and experiences and opinions, you're going to ask these open-ended questions because open-ended questions allow for a deeper resonance, a deeper conversation, deeper feedback, allowing for that person to give more back to you. Now, you want to be able to be as aligned with the person as possible. So by telling a little bit about yourself, making sure they're more relaxed and sharing stories and anecdotes, you're going to allow that person to be relaxed, allow that person to come in to your conversational strategy. And if you give interesting stories and stories that align with their particular way, even if you don't know them, and you just reckon that you can respond to their way, their personality, their interests, and so on, their passions, with a story that you can pick from your memory banks, then you're going to be able to help them out. They're going to actually enjoy it. Say the bus stop conversation with a total stranger, that will happen. Even if you have funny anecdotes, everybody has some sort of sense of humor, you'd imagine. So if you can chime with that sense of humor, you're going to be able to ring a bell with them for sure. Make it memorable, because who in these days actually takes a bus but now opens up to strangers at bus stops? Not many. So it will be memorable in the first place. Personal stories can also help create a connection, spark laughter or intrigue for sure. Now, I have mentioned using humor, and that is number one. There's no doubt about it. You can't just start cracking 1,000 jokes and then, like, in public place, people are looking at you going, okay, the first one was funny, but okay, yay, that's enough. Instead, pick and choose how to use this humor. Allow the person to speak. Maybe they're not humorous themselves. They might think they are, or they might lack in confidence with their conversational strategy. So you have to embark upon some story or crack a joke that leads or avoids them making a mistake or an error, and instead tease them up for them to just like knock it out of the park with a funny joke, even though you know the line. They pretend that you don't know the line and suddenly they just say it. Whoever says it gets the crack. So just be mindful of the other person's sense of humor. They might be good at like sensing humor, but not good at expressing it. And avoid offensive or inappropriate jokes. Nowadays, you've got to be very careful. Political correctness is the term, as I say. Be aware of what they're wearing and know that what they're wearing, if you don't know this person, can give you signs with regard to their culture, with regard to their race, with regard to their age group, with regard to lots of other things, of course. Their looks, you can judge it on that, but don't always do that, because some people just can't help for some physicality or maybe a medical reason. They can't help certain shades or colors or things they put in their hair or on their eyes or their skin and so on. So be wary and be appropriate always. You need to find common ground, because otherwise you're going to dig yourself a hole, especially if you're speaking with a stranger. Now think about this in more, not just a relaxed bus stop, but in a professional setting. You have to work with people or across the maybe office with people. You don't know them that well. You're trying to etch into their lives a little bit away from the bore and gore. Showing memory is showing interest. Something they may have dropped hints at maybe even months before, even years before, can be piqued by your interest in them and what they said. By finding common ground, you're making yourself more memorable again. You're showing them that you are actually interested in what they said. And if it's something that came from way back, it doesn't matter. In fact, that shows that you have a memory and you were, maybe at the time they thought not, but you were interested in them, in their way of communicating and in what experience they had at that time. Be enthusiastic. This is the stage time for this person. You're eliciting conversation. So if they actually come out with stuff, you have to be like, whoa, 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 this lights me up. I want to be lit up. If I'm standing at a bus stop, and this is almost like out there conversation, I am bored, right? I want company. You know that I want company because we're both at a bus stop and it's boring. So I have to express gratitude through my facial expressions, through my gestures, through my focal intonation to convey excitement and engagement. Now, again, not to go over and board on this, be relatively calm when they say certain things. But when it comes to cracking lines like jokes and so on, you have to be able to bring out that smile, bring out that enthusiasm for it. That leads me on to a slightly lower track than humor, and that's just positivity. Be positive. I mean, you're starting a conversation, so you want to be continuing the mood as being uplifting for them. You don't want to bring them down into doom and gloom. Now, okay, maybe a story can be quite dramatic, but they can have a happy ending. Most Hollywood movies have happy endings, and I'm betting my bottom dollar that whoever you're talking to or chatting with, they want a happy ending. You can bring them on a little ride of emotions if you wish, and things have to be realistic in the story. A little bit offbeat is okay, but it's got to be good and positive throughout, and certainly at the end too. Be open to exploring creative urges, such as encouraging creative flow within them. Be open to the unconventional topics of conversation. When you feel you've got their attention and they've bought into your original conversation, you can bring one story into another and you can get them around to your way of thinking if the rapport is built. So allow the conversation to flow organically. It shouldn't just be how, what, when, where, and you're asking 5, 6, 7 questions, boom, 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 boom. You need to be over and back. Like think of a very good conversation you've seen in cafes. You'll often maybe not hear it, but you can see that there's a resonance, there's an organic chemistry. So you want to try and build that. And remember, if you do only 2 things, and that is speak in a question mark, and then let that person speak, you're giving them the majority of time. And so you can pepper in little comments, even though you've asked the question in the first place. And it's questions that we have to be very careful with. Give thought-provoking ones, not silly ones. Even if it's like, how are you today? I mean, how many times people ask that to people? It's old. And you need something like, hey, how are you today? Because you were wearing such a cool top. Now that's different. It gives interest, it gives a compliment. It's like, well, let's talk about the top, where you got it, where did you shop, where do you shop? It looks good, you have good physique, you're strong, you're fit, and you're going into another area there. So you're using those compliments and questions together to build huge rapport with the person. And it's allowing them to encourage their own critical thinking mass. And so the scenarios that are hypothetical, maybe within your conversation sphere, allows them to just deepen their thought process, but at the same time being like encouraged by your reactions and by your enthusiasm, by your positivity and the humor that comes out of the conversation too. Playing games and having trivia, even just a question quiz. Hey, guess what? Do you remember the time when such and such happened? You were wearing a sports top and that team won. What year was that? Was that 19? And so on. So you might give them 2 options, 3 options. Give them the easy option, of course, and somehow say, oh, was it? And then they say yes. They respond yes. They get a little bing. They go, quiz question, you got it right. I wouldn't have known that until you knew that. And obviously you're very interested because you're wearing that top. And so therefore you're giving them praise straight away. And you're opening out a conversation about a topic. It's pretty harmless: sport, sports, clothes, fashion, and so on. Be present and responsive. Respond back to them. You started the conversation. Even if they've started the conversation, you've got to be open to it as well. Show empathy. Validate what they're saying. All of these things together allow for a fun conversation. Now let's open the conversation this video, I hope, has for you between you and me. So hit that subscribe button and we'll continue the conversation. I'll create more content, whatever you think is best. Until next time though, thank you for watching. Please do have a wonderful day.